All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Livewire. I am your host, Jared Moore, and Livewire is the program where we take your questions from the chat. So if you guys got a question about tonight's topic, pop it in the chat and we'll try to get it asked. On tonight's program, we are joined by Paul Pierce he is a producer at the Springer Opera House, and that is the State Theater of Georgia. And he's going to be talking to us tonight about a production that's going to be debuting in April of next year, 2025, called the Mvskoke Project. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mr. Pierce.
Jared, I'm so glad to be with you.
So to start off with, let's give the audience an idea of what is the Springer Opera House. What do you guys do? Like, what type of stuff is shown there?
Right. Well, we are first of all, we're a National Historic Landmark Theater, 153 years old. So we are one of the oldest operating theaters in the country. But we have a big program of theater and educational programs. We have a main stage season of 5 shows in our main theater, and which is the Historic Theater. We have a series of 3 plays in our studio series, 3 plays in our children's theater series, and then 2 more plays in a kind of unique program called Theater for the Very Young. But we also have an education program called the Springer Theater Academy. We've got about 1,000 students in that program.
Wow. So you guys it's bigger than just one single theater. It's a whole educational program. So let's talk about the Mvskoke Project. What was the genesis of it? Like, if you could take us all the way back to the beginning, how did it start?
Well, the beginning, I guess, started with my curiosity and my sort of lifelong status as a student of Native history. And about 4 years ago, I got a phone call from a Mvskoke playwright named Ari Knox, who wanted to know whether I knew and understood that this theater was sitting on traditional Mvskoke land. And I told them I did. And the conversation started from there. At the time, Ari was living and working in Brooklyn, New York, and ultimately moved to Southern California. So we spent a lot of time on the phone. Ari came here and visited a couple of times, and then I flew out to California and met them there. And we started talking about the possibility of the Springer commissioning Ari to do a new play about the Mvskoke people, who, of course, dominated this land and thrived here for 12,000 plus years. One of my interests and itches, you might say, was that I had seen in the 35 years that I'd been in Columbus, Georgia, that the people who live down in this part of the world really know almost nothing about the Mvskoke people, even though they speak the place names every day of their lives. And so Ari and I sort of put our heads together and said, hey, maybe we could create a legacy piece, something that's more than just one play that happens at one time, something that both the colonizers here could understand and gain something from, but also the Mvskoke people in Oklahoma, and that it could possibly, who knows, be the beginning of a more profound and long-lasting partnership.
Awesome. And you guys also came to the College of the Mvskoke Nation. Was it last year? Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Well, one of the things, particularly given that I'm here in Georgia and Ari was living in Southern California. Now, Ari's family were enrolled members of the Mvskoke Nation, but after his grandmother passed away, I think many of his family members sort of dispersed around the country. But we understood right away that a producer sitting in Georgia and a playwright sitting in California shouldn't be writing a play about the Mvskoke people without the participation of artists, writers, historians, scholars uh, that live in the Mvskoke Nation.
Mm-hmm.
So we organized a trip there. We spent a week. The Springer rented a hunting lodge about 15 miles outside of Okmulgee, and we hired five Mvskoke artists to join us. And we spent about 5 days together uh, eating, writing, devising, uh, improving, and the College of Mvskoke Nation was kind enough to give us workspace to do
Oh,
that.
wow, awesome. So, do you want to go ahead and I don't want to put you on the spot, but name drop those artists, for if they may be watching or something, give shout outs to everybody that
Oh,
participated?
sure. Uh, I'm happy, and my life has truly been fulfilled by getting to know many of these artists. Lee McCormick is an artist and fashion designer that has been working very closely with us. Very happy to have developed a creative collaboration with Amanda Rutland,
Mm-hmm.
uh, artist and graphic designer, who in fact designed our graphic logo for the project. But we spent some time with John Beaver at the Council House Museum, who really was, gave us at the time it felt like a deep dive on both pre-removal Mvskoke life and life in Oklahoma, even up to today. I was delighted to get to know John a little bit more this past month when my granddaughter and I came up for the Mvskoke Festival, and we visited John at the Council House Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And his work at the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian, uh, his specialty was was repatriation,
Yeah.
both of artifacts and of human remains. I learned a lot about that from John, which provided me again some insight that I did not have
Absolutely.
before.
And I
But
just wanted to jump in real quick. If you guys are just tuning in, there's also, you can post your questions in the chat. There's also a link to the Mvskoke Project's splash page at the Springer Opera House. If you guys want to click on that and take a look at it too, to see the design that Mr. Pierce was talking about earlier that Amanda Rutland designed. But go back to what you were saying, Mr. Pierce. Sorry to interrupt you there.
well, little by little, just like creative collaborations do, sometimes uh, inspiration comes from unexpected sources. Uh, Siobhan Agee at the Red Stick Gallery was somebody that I met early on, and I made some contributions of books to the Red Stick Gallery because I'm close to a Mvskoke historian in this part of the world named
Mm-hmm.
Billy Wynn, and donated some of his books to the gallery just to sort of fill out that library. But Siobhan has been great. I saw her at the when we came up for the festival.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Awesome.
uh,
Well,
James Whitecloud, don't know if you know James Whitecloud. He's been
mm-hmm.
involved in the project as a writer and creator, and lots of
Well,
wonderful.
and it's great that we're talking about who's already been involved, but I wanted to also let the audience know that you guys are still looking for more Mvskoke artists to participate in the project, right? Do you want to shout out to that part?
Absolutely. Um, we, besides actors that we will need for the show, and we are still in the process, we haven't locked up all of the acting positions. So if there are professional actors that can get away for 5 weeks at a time for this project, I'd be happy to hear from them and and get their resume. But we are also looking for theatrical designers, costume designers, scenic designers, and sound designers. So we started with actors and writers in Okmulgee, Tulsa, and Muskogee, Oklahoma, but we haven't really met any theatrical designers. I've sent search notices to the college and university drama programs in case
Hmm.
people in those networks might be interested. But thus far, I'm still looking for designers.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it. If you're sitting out there watching us and you're Muskogee and you have any theatrical design experience, how would they get their information to you, Paul? Should they go to the Springer Opera website, or what's the best way?
That's probably the best way. Either telephonically, that I can be reached there, or my email address is there's a picture of me with an email address next to it on the website, so I can be contacted that way.
Okay.
Um, but we are, one thing I would like to make clear is we are committed uh, to an all native cast and crew on this
Awesome.
show, and my preference is Muskogee.
Okay, well, along those lines, let me ask you some questions. So, you guys are slated right now for April of 2025 for the show. Is this something where it's like you're going to wait and put off the debut until you have a full native cast, or are you guys going to meet that deadline no matter what, or what's the situation with that?
Well, good. I've been producing and directing shows for 47 years, and I've never postponed or canceled a show yet. And I don't intend to start this time. Whenever you announce a show, you are committing, at least in my world, to a date.
Hmm.
And so part of my job as producer is to assemble the personnel, rehearse them, and open the show. And I'm committed to that.
Well, we talked about what you guys are looking for still with personnel for the show, the acting and everything. How is the script looking? Are we doing good in that area, or is it still being written?
It's still being written, and part of that is because we keep getting inspired by some of the people that we're talking to. Right now, we have a group of six actor writers who we meet with by Zoom twice a month, and we share ideas, share writing, and we do readings as we go along, and then we talk about the work that's being done, and little by little, Ari is folding this work into what will ultimately be the play.
Awesome. We've had a question pop up here, and it's from one of our regulars, Ty Pearl. They are asking, are you familiar with the American Theater Company at Wampa in Tulsa?
Uh, I am not personally familiar with that program,
Okay,
but I have emailed them with the search notice for these positions.
I see. So they've heard.
Well, yes, but if any of your viewers have a contact there that they can put me in touch with, I would welcome that.
Awesome. Okay, and I'll send them an email. Maybe it got lost in the shuffle or something. And thanks for the question, guys. Keep them coming. If you got any other questions, pop them in there. So we've talked about where the production is at right now and what you guys are looking for. Um, Once this, I was looking online and I saw some posts that also said that there's a possibility that this is going to be performed at the College of the Muskogee Nation. Is that on the table, or?
We are open to other productions of it into the future. And one of the things I do as a producer is I'm constantly writing grants for the
Hmm.
new works, and so the more funding I get, the more options I will have in the future to stage the play in other places. But honestly, I don't hope I don't come off as being too cocky about this, but really, this project as I view it, needs to be uh, done at the Kennedy Center or
Right.
in some other venue that presents new works.
All right. TY Pearl's up, popped another question up. Have you reached out to Crazy Eagle Media?
No,
Hey, TY Pearl, if you've got a link to a website or an email for them, put it in the chat and I will get it to Mr. Pierce. Because I don't think I have contact info for them, but I'm sure he's interested in reaching out to them. So go ahead and
that's
get it to me however you can, TY Pearl.
great. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. So, what is the run of this project going to be? Is it going to be like a month? Is it going to run for a year? Or is that depending on ticket sales? How do you guys handle that part of it?
Good. It's going to run, we know it's going to run from April 3rd through the 13th of May. Uh, but we are wide open to other cities, other venues, but we know, like a lot of new works, everything starts with the first production.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to develop an audience there, and little by little, we hope that this thing has legs. And like I say, uh, Aries, Ari and I agree that we don't want it to be a one-off. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to say, all right, well, we did this play about the Mvskoke people and its history, and that's done. We've checked that box.
Right.
Uh, I view it as a legacy piece, something that can live for a long, long time.
Well, along those lines too, a question I have is there going to be a digital presence for this performance, like recordings or anything like that? How's that going to work?
Very good. I don't know. We're pretty sure that we can stream it, but the great thing about doing new works is we have the rights to it, and we don't have to worry about royalties and so forth. So right now, if your viewers would just keep connected to our website at the point at which we're announcing streaming for the production, they will see that link.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you guys go ahead and get in touch with me, we'll pub it again whenever that's set up. And if you guys need any help, shoot me an email. We'll try to work out it because we do a lot of that stuff here, as evidenced by this program. But let's see here. Ty Pearls put something in the chat. I just want to make sure it's not a question. The Muskogee Nation consider. Okay, he's asking a question. He's Ty Pearl. He or she is asking, Muskogee Nation should consider allocating some funding. Have you approached them for a donation? Have you spoke to the National Council executive branch about this project at all?
I have spoken to the tribal liaison, Ann Townsend
Mm-hmm.
Edwards, and Ann I'm going to go to Okmulgee, Macon, Georgia, in a couple of weeks for the Indigenous celebration, and she is arranging for me to meet with Chief Hill, and we're going to talk about this. I'm going to be honest with you. Going to the Mvskoke Nation for support for something that's happening here doesn't seem right to me.
I
Uh,
gotcha.
and I, I think we've got a lot to prove before we can request any resources from the
Yeah.
Mvskoke Nation. I'm much more inclined to find ways for us to pay rent.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you guys don't really need any money, right? Like you're doing okay on that front to get this, like for this production, you guys got have the budget pretty much worked out, right?
We've got what we need to do this production at this time. One of the things that I'm talking to Ann Townsend Edwards about, and she brought it up, was the idea of a delegation coming from Okmulgee
Mm.
to see the play. And if that's possible, what we would do here in Columbus is we would basically host a Mvskoke homecoming and do what we can
Wow.
to possibly have a Chattahoochee River experience, to have a woodland experience, and welcome the original inhabitants back to their home, which was so brutally taken from them.
Wow, that would be amazing. I mean, if with the way that people travel back to the homelands, you like that. If you guys could figure out a way to bundle all of that in as some type of travel package, I can guarantee you a lot of citizens would probably buy that just to come down and have that experience.
Well, that's so encouraging, and I look for, and I know the celebration in Okmulgee, Georgia, is a big one,
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked to a number of people like Siobhan, who are going to be selling art there, and I look forward to seeing Siobhan there. But that's a big program, and but you know, hmm, Columbus, Georgia, Mvskoke County, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
was founded in 1828, right after the land lottery, which which was the beginning of the end,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and the beginning of removal. And Columbus was founded by a lot of land speculators, and their stated goal was to steal Muskogee land.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, the people down here don't really know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sort of alert, or trying to be mindful, Jared, uh, that whatever we do, that the Muskogee people and the Muskogee Nation never feels exploited. You know,
Right. Right.
and,
Absolutely.
and I'm not here to make a profit. I'm not here to take anything. At this point, my view is, how can we serve and build relationships?
Absolutely. Well, and you guys are working with the administration on this. And
Yes,
maybe that part of it is something the administration could pick up, is to get the citizens down there, and then you guys can have the help arrange all of the sightseeing and stuff. That would be great.
we can
So,
do that.
well, I really want to thank you for coming on the program tonight. We are at 21 minutes, 22 minutes, which we normally wrap around 30 minutes, right? Is there anything about this project or any of this that we haven't talked about that you think is important for us to mention?
Well, I just would say to your viewers, and hope to share, that we are arriving at this project with an open heart, and that we hope that friendships and some amount of healing can be created, because if you read at all about removal, you will hear uh, Muskogee at that time talking about abandoning the graves of their ancestors.
Mm.
And I am aware, and some other people here are aware, that we walk on those trails every day, and others have walked these paths before us.
Mm-hmm.
And we are just trying to be open and mindful of that. And we know that this is a baby step, but we want to take it, and we want to make friends as best we can. And that, hey, making friends is always good.
Well, and I want to tell you personally too. It's very good. We need more people like you out there, sir, that are building those bridges. So, and being considerate of the Native Americans that were in the area, the Muskogee that were there, is a great way to do it. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in tonight. We are at 23 minutes. I don't see any more questions in the chat, and I think we've covered everything about the topic. Mr. Pierce, if you will keep me in touch on all of the developments with this, we will have you back on the program and give updates. Maybe we could arrange something where we can go on that trip and go out and get some footage of the event for you guys. And I wanted to let you guys know before I wrap that I'm going to have a live stream tomorrow, probably I think around 1 or so. It's not going to be too long, but it's going to be about where you can see the documentary Bad Press. And I have a code for the place that's going to show it, so you get 20% off and all that stuff. So if you guys are out there and you remember our coverage of the documentary about the free press battle here, that was shot at Bad Press, and it went to Sundance, and you guys were like, where can I see it? I'm going to have that announcement tomorrow, so tune into that. I'm going to do it live to try to answer any questions that you guys may have about whether it's going to come out on DVD and all that stuff. I don't have all the answers because it wasn't my movie, but I have talked to the producer and the director about it, and I have some information. So tune into that. That's going to be tomorrow, probably around 12 or 1 o'clock or so, whenever we pop it up. It'll be on Facebook before we actually do it. So, Mr. Pierce, thanks for joining me tonight. Modo. And you guys, thanks for joining me. And we will see you next time. Chihichath, Lees.